Hey, how are you guys? It is Harrison Barron from Growth Generators. Now in this video, we're going to be covering the top 6 objections you're going to get as an MSP. And I'm not going to make you wait. I'm going to dive right into exactly what I'm going to be covering. Number 1, I'm sure we've probably all heard it. Your services are too expensive. Second one, you already have a provider. Why should I switch? It's not an uncommon one. If you're selling IT services, they may have somebody already in place. Why should they go with you? Number 3, I still don't understand how you can help me. Number 4, is this migration of swapping companies going to disrupt my business? I can't have that happen. Number 5, what happens if my old IT company won't play ball with you guys or play nicely in the sandbox? And number 6, I need to talk to my partner or spouse first. Those are the top 6 that I put together. And if you've hit an objection and you'd like me to address it, leave it down in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear what other objections you guys have gotten, but these are my top 6. 2 things before I get into this video and I address and show you exactly how you can disarm every single one of those and still save the deal. Go down below. I do have a free 1-hour masterclass. It is about 50 minutes long. I call it an hour. It's 50 minutes, but it is going to cover 5 ways to close more deals, everything from sales techniques to prospecting and how to actually go do it. It is much more in depth than a basic YouTube video. It is well worth it, and the responses that I've gotten out of it are astounding, so I appreciate you guys that have checked it out already and just sent me some private emails. That is amazing. Number 2, I am releasing an online course. If that is something that you are interested in, there will be a link below, and I guess 3.5. I'm putting together a small book. I don't know if it'll be out by the time I publish this. If it is, it will be down in the links down below. If it's not, check a future video, but it's just going to be a little book on how to cold pitch, how to cold email, everything that you'd want to do to start building more business. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So these are the common sales objectives that we've all heard at one point or another. They all stink. Nobody ever wants to hear them. But a lot of times, ill-prepared salespeople or new salespeople have these happen all of the time. And that's okay. That's normal. These are also normal questions that people ask. You're doing a lot of stuff for their business. And I say stuff because it is really all-encompassing. And every IT company will perform different services, different sets of services, will have different requirements, will want to do different things to that business. So the first thing that we have to understand is people buy from people they know, like, and trust. That's it, the secret sauce. Now, in today's day and age, I would even argue to say it's not who you know, like, and trust, although you have to be if you're going to be the salesperson, the person they know, like, and trust, but people buy from people they know. Let me repeat that. People buy from people they know. You can advertise your way into a client. There's no doubt about it. But for the vast majority of you who are looking to either break into sales or you're just getting out of your comfort zone and looking to close more business, you have to be the one that they know, like, and trust. So take a nice shower that day before you go to your meeting, brush your teeth, get a peppermint in. Remember, it doesn't matter how big or how small the company is that you're going into. They probably go to the same Dunkin' Donuts. They probably go to the same restaurants. They probably do the same activities with their family. They probably live somewhere in your general area. They are humans. They are not these powerful creatures that walk the earth at night and all that kind of stuff. These people are humans. And I know that I'm kind of making that a joke, but so many people, including myself at one point, were terrified to go in businesses. Oh my God, that's the CEO. He has a boat and he hangs out on the water just like all my friends do. There's no difference. He just happens to have a different job than my friends do. So keep in mind, these are real people. They buy from people they know, like, and trust. Be that person they know, like, and trust. Try to get and build some kind of bonding and rapport with them as early on as possible and as long and as strong as possible. That has been a absolute deal saver for me. Even if I lost the deal, I just became good friends with them because I genuinely wanted to. You are the sum of the people you hang out with. You hang out with successful people, you will become successful. Same thing. Even if you're a sales guy, hanging out with the big dogs who all hang out together is always going to help you. So number 1, you have to start building bonding and rapport. And I know this isn't the sales objective, but you have to have these before you hit any of the objections. So objections of people, or objections are just people telling you, without actually saying it, that there is a problem, or there's an unanswered question, or there is a misunderstanding. If somebody tells you your services are too expensive, it's not because your services are too expensive. You have miscommunicated the difference in the cost to the value of what you're providing. So I've gotten a lot of people say like, hey, I really like your sell on the value, don't sell on the price thing, because if you're getting pushback about your pricing, it's not because you're charging too much. You're just doing a really bad job at explaining the value to someone. Now, my favorite objection to that, or a response to your prices are too expensive, I've heard that once or twice. And to some people, they may be expensive, but we take really good pride in a couple different things. You pay for what you get. We have a rock star service. We do everything as good as we can, and we avoid the things that we aren't the best at. Number two, not only do we think that we have a rock star service, we have rock star employees. We try to treat all of our employees with XYZ, a fair salary, fair compensation, fair time off, and we do charge a little bit more so we can have the luxuries and help keep employees around as long as possible so that they can better serve you. Now, there are a million ways that this can go in whatever direction, but at the core of it, it is value to price. You have to sell on the value. And this is what selling on the value is. Look, it might be expensive, but we do take care of a really good team. We do provide a really good service. And I probably didn't explain this well, but let's paint a story. What happens if 4 of your employees couldn't work for an entire day? If they get paid $50 an hour, that's 8 hours per employee times 4 employees. That's 24 hours of either non-billable or unproductive time. If they make $50 an hour, do the math. Doesn't that begin to get kind of expensive by your employees not being able to work effectively? For the simple price of 1 or 2 people not being able to work for the entire day, we can do everything. And that might be true for your company. It might not be true for your company. But hey, for the cost of 4 employees not working the entire day, we could come in and make sure that all of your employees are not only able to work all day long, but they're going to be secure in a safe environment. That way you don't have to worry about a phone call at 4 o'clock on a Friday, as my phone is plugged in, slamming it out of my computer, and say, hey, we have a really bad situation in the office. That would be horrific to you, and we make sure that never happens. Our onboarding is super thorough, and our monthly services, we are extremely proactive in making sure your antivirus is up to date, your patches are up to date, and your environment is locked down so you never have to get the most terrifying phone call on the planet. I have never lost a deal when I say that, and I kid you not, when they say you're too expensive and I whip out those 3 things, we treat employees fairly, they get time off, we provide an exceptional service, and you're not going to get a phone call on Friday night at 4 o'clock saying you need to work all weekend to go fix the problems that Pat messed up in the office, or he brought in his own personal laptop and brought a virus into the environment. You're not going to have to deal with that. And that is going to be the main difference between us and somebody else. So I get it. Price, of course, is something you have to be worried about, but I feel like that peace of mind is probably worth a bit more than the price that we charge. Mic drop. Easiest thing in the world. That is the best way to overcome that. Now, paint it in that picture. Companies like to do business with companies that are ethical and do the right thing. So I've learned that leading with that typically helps if you have employees. If you don't have employees, roll right into the second part of it. But you better make sure you deliver on all of it. More than likely, you're going to be able to deliver on all of it, but you have to make sure that you can deliver on all of it. And I do want to throw this in here. I didn't include this, but the easiest way to address an objection, if you're in a presentation or a sales call, put it in the slides. You know what you're getting, your objections are going to be. These are the 6 most common that I could think of, but you know what objections you're going to get over and over and over again. Put them in the slides if you're giving a sales presentation. Bring them up on a phone call. Hey, do you mind if I just cover a couple things that people keep asking us about? I just want to lay a blank slate for you and tell you what it's like and go from there. More than likely, they're going to say, yeah, feel free. And just go on a tangent. Hey, sometimes people say our stuff is too expensive. I don't know what you can pay your employees, but just based on them losing an hour a day or 2 or 3 or 4 people, or maybe more, of a full day of being not productive, how much is that actually going to cost you? And then think about how much IT service is going to cost. Plus, they're not bothering you and they're going to sleep good at night. You got to say it how I said in the beginning, but you get it. So number 2, I already have a provider and they're great. Why should I go with you? I don't know if you even should. Keep in mind, you don't know when you're going to be asked this. Why should I go with you? I don't even know if you should, but we should have a meeting to see if we can even work together, or if you're a good fit for my business and I'm a good fit for your business. And let's go through and play the game of make-believe of what that would look like. And that is going to open up the door and show the prospect you are more than comfortable walking away from the deal, because you are. And when you do that, you are going to be in the higher power, because now you are controlling the conversation. You're not doing most of the talking, but you are now in control of the conversation. And then you can go through and say, all right, let's dive down that rabbit hole, right? I'm just looking at my notes here. That's why I'm not looking at the camera. But you have to be able to clearly state that you are comfortable with figuring out if we are even a good fit together. And then that prospect is going to say, okay, you've answered all my questions. And they're going to have questions. They're not objections. They're questions. These are objections. They're when they're basically trying to say no, right? But if they have questions, you as the salesperson, whether or not you're the business owner or a salesperson, needs to be able to address them clearly and concisely. And if you're worried, like I was, sweating bullets on my first couple dozen meetings, they're people. They drink the same coffee. They're tired. They might have had a rough day. Their significant other might have yelled at them this morning. They got stuck in traffic. Maybe somebody scratched their car. There's a million things that can go wrong. We're all human. Slow down. Take a breath, and it's going to be okay. That's all it is. It sounds crazy, and you guys are probably watching this. You're like, obviously, it sounds way too simple. It is so simple, but it took me forever to learn it. So I'm just throwing that out there. I still don't understand how you can help me. That is a common one. You go through the whole sales pitch. I still don't understand how you can help me. You're like, I just went through a 30, 45 minute, 1 hour, hour and a half long sales pitch. I've explained everything that we do for the businesses. It's okay. This is typically going to be an objection that you get on a new business. You have to clearly explain and think about what you've already said and try to figure it out from a different perspective and shift. Because when you do that, you're going to have a significantly better relationship for them. It took one of my old customers probably 3 years of paying my agency for SEO services. Built him a website, did SEO services, and he's like, Harry, love you to death. I still don't understand what you're doing. I know you're doing the right thing for me, so I'm not worried about it, but I still don't get it. Out of the blue, one day on a Friday, didn't have a call plan with him. I get a phone call from him. Harry, I finally get it. I figured out what SEO is and how it works. It took the man 3 years, and I've explained it 100 different ways. I saw him every single morning for breakfast at a breakfast meeting. 3 years to figure it out. Some people just don't get it. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to be a customer. They might be. He was one of the best customers I ever had. He just left me to go somebody else. Wish him all the best. Still love the kid. We're still going to be hanging out. But that's just the natural sales process of things that happen. But it took, he was with me for like 6 years, but it took 3 years of explaining. That person might not be the right fit for you today, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be the right fit for you tomorrow. Hey, do you mind if I follow up in 6 months? Maybe we'll just grab a cup of coffee, sit down, Zoom call, see how your business is going, anything like that. Just leave the door open. But if they've already had a provider, or better yet, if they don't know you're a good fit, just explain it clearly, try to rephrase it, reframe it to them, and ask them, hey, I do this all day, every day. I do get a bit repetitive. What questions do you have that I could answer that would help portray or show you how we provide value? And let them ask. Wear the bulletproof vest. They're going to ask you 1,000,001 questions, but they'll have clarity because they've asked all the questions that they want to ask. And it'll help your relationship with that client move forward infinitely better if you're willing to open up to other questions in there. I still don't understand how you can help me. Right? We've already kind of went over that. Show the value. If they've already got a provider, why should they go with you? Right? You don't know if they should. If they're still worried about it, you have to show the value. And sometimes you might need to kick in a little more value. That could be monthly assessments, monthly reports. If you don't do that already, think of other ways that you can add additional value to that customer without really costing you much more money. It'll take time to get here, right? Show the value of that time that lost, answer those questions appropriately. Now, my worst fear, and this is the one that always sucks, is migrating going to disrupt my day-to-day business? And we all know that the answer is no, but conveying the fact that they are going to lose potentially about 24 hours of downtime, sometimes less, depending on who you are and depending on what your process is, but there's always going to be hiccups throughout this whole process. If you're in IT, you know it's never smooth sailing, as much as it stinks. That's okay. Look, if you really don't like your company and you're looking to migrate, it doesn't matter if it's me or somebody else. You're going to have a disruption in your services. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if somebody tells you different, they are lying to you. But here's what I can do for you. I'm going to make sure that we sit down after this, or we can figure it out now if you'd like. What is the slowest day of business or the 2 slowest days of business? Is it Saturday and Sunday? Is it Thursday, Friday? Whatever it may be. Does anybody work overnight? Yes or no? More than likely, probably not, although it does happen. Or, hey, I work from home, or I bounce on the cloud, whatever it may be. Great. We're going to do it on the slowest days you have overnight. We do have a team. They're willing to work overnights. It's kind of part of our agreement. Every once in a while, they do have to work overnights to do an onboarding. It happens. I have been in people's offices till 3, 4. I've watched the sun rise in somebody else's office because I was there all night long working as a tech or helping the techs as an account executive or salesperson. It's not uncommon. You just got to be there for it. That was my title, by the way, account executive. I did sales and everything else for the company, but it's not uncommon for that to happen. And say, look, I will personally be there. I've done it there the whole time. I didn't do anything. I just closed the deal and sold the project. But if it makes it more comfortable for the business owner and helps me close the deal of me being there overnight and them having my cell phone, so if anything goes wrong or they have any questions at any point in the evening, they can call me, and that's what takes to close the deal, you bet I'm doing it. There's no doubt about it. Keep that in mind. It is fairly easy. You're going to have a disruption if you migrate away, but what is the cost of not migrating away from a company that you don't like? They take too long. Your employees are being non-productive for either the same price or more money. You're going to gain that peace of mind, all your employees' time back. All that is going to help you close the deal. Keep that in mind. What if my old IT company won't give you admin credentials to get in? Oh, I couldn't believe how many times I've gotten this statement. It happens. 98% of the time, the IT company goes, okay, we lost one. They give you the credentials, or they make you credentials. They make sure you're on the network, and then they'll delete all their stuff. I probably had an issue once or twice. One time, the guy was like, absolutely not. And the second time, we just couldn't get a hold of the company out of the literally hundreds of accounts I brought in. It happens. You just have your team go in and manually do everything. You can pretty much manually do everything at a server, especially when you have access to it. Worst comes to worst, you figure out other solutions with your project team in the background. But you just tell the customer, look, we have a ton of different ways. It is super rare that an IT company won't give us access to your system, although we have had to deal with it a couple different times. More often than not, it's not really a big deal. If they do become a real pain in the butt, and we absolutely cannot get into your system under any circumstances, there's no bill. We'll refund you your onboarding fees. We'll go our separate ways. No big deal. But we have a whole team of experts that'll come in. They will override everything. They will make sure that they take over the system. I have never had them fail yet, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to go in, and in a few hours, we'll make sure we do it on your slowest days or when people aren't in the office. We'll take care of everything, and you'll be back up and running in no time, like nothing was ever there. If they do have to shut anything down, it happens. It is there. Addressing it is going to be huge. And my last and least favorite is I need to talk to my partner or spouse first. This is the worst one because you're never ready for it until you watch this video. Hey, I totally understand that you need to bring in your partner or spouse. I have a fear, though. Can I tell you my fear? Sure, what is it? You're going to go back and talk to your partner or spouse, and you're not going to be able to explain the value and kind of this whole pitch, although I don't like to call it a pitch, but demonstration, as well as I did to them. If this is something you're seriously interested in, let's see if we can get them either on a Zoom call or in person, or at least at the bare minimum on a phone call. And wait. And when they say, okay, let me see what I can do. Or they're going to say, can't do it. That's okay. Let's think about this. What questions do you think your partner is going to have that we may or may not have covered, so I can give you the knowledge to tell them and explain what we do, how we do it, and the value that we provide? And they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. You're going to give them a bunch of answers. You're going to make sure that they kind of repeat it. As, okay, so we went over this. What was that first one again? Yeah, it was how to explain value. Two, what if my company doesn't, give the credentials, or my IT company doesn't give the credentials? You're going to just make sure that they remember it. So when they do have that conversation, it is a very easy conversation and they're prepared. And throw in there, hey, by the way, you're going to have my cell phone number. If they have any questions while you're talking to them, shoot me a text, shoot me a phone call, shoot me an email. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you call me, I usually pretty much always answer, and I'll help address that question on the spot to make your life easier. Try to get them into an in-person meeting, or at least the bare minimum Zoom, so you can be the one that answers instead of somebody else who does not do this for a living. That is where you will lose deals. It is probably a 50-50 shot if they won't bring their partner or spouse or whatever it is into a Zoom or personal meeting. I may close the deal. And it's 50-50 because I've equipped them with the tools that they need, but it's having them remember long enough till they have that conversation with somebody. But if I can get them in the meeting, even if they're late to the meeting, it is a significantly easier sale. And then my closing ratio goes up incredibly high. Now, I've kind of given you 6 objections, how to answer them. Obviously, I do this for a living. I do address a lot of this in my online course that I'm going to be releasing. All of these in my online course. But a lot of people have a massive, massive issue with this part, and it is educate, educate, educate. You're not selling. You're educating the client in what you do and to see if it's a good fit. You are a salesperson because you're making money from the sale, but you are an educator at heart, through and through. So here's why I say this is your marketing material should help you push the sales process through and probably address most of the questions, if not all of the questions, long before they get to these objections. You can easily slip these into emails. You can slip these into blog posts. You can slip these into videos. And that is going to be the difference, right? Somebody's going to look at my course and be like, oh my God, it's too expensive, right? Let's say they see it at full price, $1,000. It's too expensive. You're probably right. It is too expensive for you. Maybe I probably didn't show you the value yet, because the value of that $1,000 investment is going to make you tens, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in revenue. So you're telling me $1,000 investment, and keep in mind, this is early in the course building area, but that $1,000 investment is going to be worth, you close one deal, it paid for itself. You close 2 deals with the knowledge you gain from that course, you're making money. You close 3 plus, you are getting infinitely rich on a one-time payment. How would you not want to do that? And it's geared specifically to you. And on top of that, you're going to be able to ask questions. The community is going to be able to answer, and I'm going to be able to answer. It's a no-brainer. That's the difference. You have to be willing to be an expert in your space, be aware that these objections are going to come, and practice. If you don't practice these, they're going to catch you off guard. The first time that you go over these should not be with a prospect, but with a current client. Hey, do you mind sitting down with me for 5 minutes? What objections did you have in the beginning, and can I address them now? Just for practice, for sales. I've done that before. It works. Go with somebody else in your office. Go with a friend. Hey, I know you don't own a business. Let's play a game of imagination. Let's say you did own a business, whatever kind of business it is. Can I try to pitch my services to you, and you give me objections so I can answer them? But the first time that you say these should not be on a sales call. So if you're watching this video at whatever hour of the day, if it's at night, go to bed, wake up with a fresh mind, watch the video again, ask some friends to role play with you. If it's in the morning, before you get into sales or business for the day, stop, call a friend, phone a friend, Sit down with one of your associates, friends, salespeople, whoever you are, and ask these questions. Or have them ask you the questions and answer them. You will get infinitely better at it as time goes on, because it took me a long time to not only learn the objections, but have the answers ready at my fingertips to, I'm not bullying anybody, but I'm gracefully answering them and letting them down so they feel good and they've gotten all their questions answered. And at the end of the day, after they ask all of these, whether or not they sell is going to be you, based on how you built your bonding and rapport, your sales process, your proposal, how you handle the objections, because they buy from people they know, like, and trust. And that's you. So I hope this video helps. Hope you guys found some value in this one. This one was a bit on the longer side, but I love you guys. If you guys have questions, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps. I never ask, but it does help the channel quite a bit. On that, I'll see you guys later. Bye.